4 years, and that lets you save.
Who cares?
True Form Life.
Green lookum.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. Whether you're listening on terrestrial radio across the country or as a podcast around the world, we certainly couldn't be here without you, and we couldn't be more grateful for you sharing some of your time with us today. Now, I'm going to be talking about autism, which may be the reason you clicked on this episode. Autism is something that we haven't talked about before on this show. I'm always interested in new and interesting topics. And we're also going to talk about autoimmune disease. And the guest I'm bringing on is Dr. Jeanette Huber, and she brings so much value to our show and so much value to our audience, which is you guys listening. I couldn't be more grateful for you guys tuning in here and for Jeanette to share some of her story with us. She had her own struggles, to be honest with you, which happens with most of our guests. They're looking for a need for themselves, and after they find that, they share that with others. She struggled with MS, fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's, my gosh, the list goes on, and that, as she found out, and she'll explain, that it goes hand in hand with autism, which is what her son was diagnosed with in 2010. So she's got all kinds of tips and takeaways. She's going to talk about autoimmune diseases that she was dealing with. And then more directly, we focus on autism and how she was able to help her son on a deeper level. So sit back and enjoy. We got all that coming up on...
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. You heard all about Jeanette in the introduction, so without further ado, welcome to the show, Jeanette.
Hi, Drew. I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, and we're excited to have you on. We got so much to talk about, and in some cases, I don't even know where to start, but that's the great thing about interviews. I can get you to start. Will you take a step back and let us know about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
Oh, wow. So my name is Jeanette Huber, and I'm a naturopath, which is a holistic doctor. I'm based in the state of Virginia, and I'm also a mother. I have 2 boys and a small farm. But my boys are my passion, and so is my work. I love educating clients about natural health and healing the body and the mind and the spirit through detoxification and working with herbs and energy medicine and that kind of thing.
Awesome. Sounds like you're perfect fit for our holistic show. How did you get into what you're doing? I'm guessing that, it's funny, just about every guest that we bring on, they have their own personal story. And they've got into holistic medicine or natural ways of healing their clients and customers because of themselves. Mm-hmm. So tell us about your story.
Well, sometimes you meet these folks who grew up in this lifestyle, and so it's very natural to them. That wasn't the case for me. It's like you said, I had my own healing journey to experience that brought me here. And I really feel like those of us who are educating others and healing, we do best by having that own experience. And I was diagnosed with multiple autoimmune diseases, and they tend to kind of pile up like a domino effect. So I had Hashimoto's, which is a disease of the thyroid gland, fibromyalgia, and multiple sclerosis. But I also had a situation where my son, well, I shouldn't say situation, it's been more of a journey, where my son, who is now 12 years old, was diagnosed with autism when he was about 3. And so a lot of the things I learned through helping him, I was able to apply to healing myself, and that's what brought us to where we are now. So I work with adults, and then I also work with children. I work with a lot of children on the autism spectrum.
And you'll have to excuse me if this is a silly question. Is autism have to do with autoimmune disease or not at all?
Yeah, we see a lot of correlation between the two. autism is really, you meet one person with autism and you've met one person. It's a spectrum. So we see all different layers to it. The more profoundly affected, who are not able to communicate or make eye contact, or they very often are described as living in their own world, to our more high functioning individuals who are, working their hardest to blend into society. You can look at it as similar to autoimmune, because there are aspects of it where the body is attacking itself in a sense, like autoimmune disease. But these individuals are highly sensitive, beautiful people. And that's an aspect in it too. The fact that they are, sensitive to our environment, sensitive to toxins and certain types of food and energies like EMF and stuff like that. So, you can look at it and address it as you would an autoimmune disease, and there can be a lot of healing through that. But then there's this other layer to who they are and their sensitivities.
Okay, so how did you figure out that there was an issue with you that wasn't being fixed or diagnosed properly?
I was sick first before, my son, he was a newborn when I was diagnosed with the Hashimoto's, and he was just a few months old at the time, and I'd gone through a very stressful experience where we had some wildfires in our area, and we had to evacuate our farm and move all of our animals. It was very traumatic. Everybody ended up being fine, but it's just that obviously took a significant toll on me, and I was a new mother, so I had a little baby, and he was nursing and demanding a lot of me. And for a while, I associated some of the symptoms I was having with just that, the fact that I was a new mom. And I had a lot of fatigue. I had some pain in the body, very dry mouth, dry eyes. But it's when I started noticing this symmetrical pain, like in both my wrists and my hands and both of my feet. And I thought, well, that's a little strange. I haven't had an injury. Why is it on both sides of the body? And so I did go into my primary care physician and see him, and they pulled some labs and looked at my thyroid and referred me to an endocrinologist because some of the numbers were pretty not where they needed to be, and they were very concerned. And so I did receive the diagnosis of Hashimoto's at that point. But then there was a long period of time where that was just sort of maintained on synthetic thyroid hormone. I was on Synthroid for a number of years and feeling kind of okay, but not really. And then if you fast forward past, everything we experienced with the autism as my son was older and, other just episodes of life, the other diseases came in. It was kind of like I'd reached this point of saturation where just everything felt like it was falling apart in my life. And the health was just on top of that.
True Form Life.
Before we get into the show, I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein. This is a plant-based protein supplement that we've designed ourselves at True Form. And the reason I designed it is because I felt like there was a need in the industry. Now, when I was traveling around the world, and I literally had a tackle box full of supplements and products and vitamins that did a whole lot more damage than good. So when I started doing more personal training and fitness classes, people would ask me what types of supplements I would recommend. And I always say, eat food. So that's why I've designed Complete Truth Protein around food. It's made with quinoa and hemp seeds. And one of the main benefits that it offers is improved digestion. So many of us deal with digestion issues on a regular basis. It also gives you a natural boost of energy. So if you head over to trueformlife.com/complete-truth-protein, we have tons of more details, videos, recipes, and everything you need to get going in the right direction with a good quality protein supplement. trueformlife.com/complete-truth-protein.
True Form Life.
Yeah, that sounds like a super challenging time. Did that have to do with, did that increase any type of issues or health issues that you guys are going? Like, I think stress plays such a vital role to our overall health. How did that affect the health of yourself and your child?
Well, I had been, and I see this all the time in the autism community, and it's we overgive of ourselves because our children have a lot of needs, and we don't always trust others. I mean, there's some wonderful people out there to help us assist us with all of this, but we overgive and forget about taking care of ourselves, and you can become very depleted in that energy. So I was like that for years. I was just not sleeping. I was not sleeping well at night. I was not eating well. I was not digesting my foods correctly, drinking lots of coffee, drinking alcohol, just trying to numb things down. And then when I got to, this was 2012-ish, we moved across the state, and we moved to an area that I didn't want to live here. I was very unhappy. I was unhappy in my marriage. So absolutely, all of those things really added to it. And that's where those other diseases came in. They came into play at that time.
So what specifically is autism?
Autism. Well, I don't define it by the book. I look at being the mother of a child on the spectrum, and he's what we would consider recovered now. So he's lost all, anything that would give him a diagnosis. He's lost all of those symptoms, and he's mainstreamed in a regular school, and he's doing very well.
I'm just curious to know, is that, we did a show not too long ago how you can cure type 2 diabetes, and then most people are like, that's crazy. No, you can't. But
you can.
So in this situation, are you saying that you cured autism, or the
cure? It's a hard word. I mean, and this has happened with many people. We've seen this with our kids. You work on diet, get them eating the right foods, reducing inflammation. They have, you can look at it from a genetic standpoint with the mutations in play that are affecting how well they detox. Many of them have impaired detoxification pathways. There's cognitive issues there, delays, how they perceive the world. It's very different from us. But yes, it can be recovered. That's the word we prefer to use. I would say even in the state of recovery, they are very unique. And that comes back to the fact that they are so sensitive. I said sensitive to the energies, but they're sensitive to others' feelings and that kind of thing. And that hasn't changed with my son. He's just, instead of being in a very reactive state where he's having to move his hands a lot or chew on himself or pull his clothes off or have a meltdown, instead of doing that, he's now more grounded. He knows how to channel his feelings. And instead of, feeling negative effects from people, he's more in tune with them from a more nurturing energy. He's more caring, more loving, very hands-on. If I'm upset about something, he can sense it before anybody else, and he checks in on me. And that's probably never going to change. That is who he is at the heart level.
Can you describe his state? Like how autistic, I don't even know what the proper terminology, how autistic he is. Was he at a high level of autism to begin with, or a little bit lower?
Well, we use something called the ATEC to score where they are in terms of how affected they are by the autism. So the ATEC stands for the Autism Treatment Evaluation Checklist, and it's a series of questions. You can go online, fill it out for free, whether you're a parent or a therapist or a caregiver, and it's very helpful when we're trying a new therapy, because there's a lot of therapies and protocols and things that are popular in autism. And when you start something new, you want to have that baseline ATEC score, and then you want to recheck it, several months following that to see what kind of progress has been made. And the higher the number, the closer it is to 100, the more profoundly affected that individual is. And he was, I think by the time I found out about the ATEC and I actually did it for him, he was in the 70s. And now he's probably less than 5, if at all. I mean, I kind of joke that I have a higher ATEC than he does now.
So you have to do what you did with him to yourself.
Yes. I did. I just sort of used his little blueprint. Mine was different, though. I've learned by him that the more work I do to care for myself, the more it opens up healing for him as well. It was like he was holding space for me in a sense, because he got really far in his healing and then he plateaued for a bit. He was in mainstream school and really holding in well while he was at school, but afterwards he was just kind of falling apart emotionally. And the more work I did on myself and healing myself, he was able to strengthen in himself too. And I see that happening a lot with other families also. So they really are tied into our healing.
True Form Life.
Just want to take a minute to mention Complete Truth Protein again. This is a protein supplement that we designed at True Form. We believe in food. We believe food heals, cures, and prevents. That's why this product is much different than your conventional types of products. Unfortunately, packed with chemicals, preservatives, toxins that our body doesn't know how to utilize, digest, and absorb. So that's why Complete Truth Protein can help improve your digestion and will offer a natural boost of energy. You can find more details at trueformlife.com/Complete Truth Protein.
True Form Life.
Tell me I'm interested to know how autism and then your own autoimmune diagnosis are related.
Well, I have a lot, speaking of it from more of a physical standpoint, I have the similar genetic mutations as my son, similar sensitivities, only in my circumstance, and I would say that I had a lot of the social issues, that awkwardness as a child, but it wasn't really acknowledged. But just a lifetime of not caring for myself and eating poorly and just being very introverted and stressed out and not knowing how to manage that. I feel like that is really just what compounded over the years to produce this autoimmune bomb that went off, basically. And with my son, we got a lot of work done from an early start. He was 3 years old when we really started making changes for him. And I do wonder, if I hadn't done anything and he just continued on that trajectory where he was eating pizza and chicken nuggets and we weren't really trying to clean him up and heal him, he may have just developed issues as well. And so we do kind of keep that awareness, and it's why we continue to take care of ourselves on a daily level, being cognizant of what we're eating and putting in our environment and or putting on our bodies and coming into contact with, so that we don't have to worry about that.
So what are some of the steps or some of the things that you did with your son that could possibly help our audience?
Okay. Let's see. This was 2010. And we did initially a lot of biomedical intervention, is what it's referred to as. And biomed is bringing in nutritional therapy, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Some practitioners work with antibiotics and antifungals and things like that. I was very fortunate in that my cousin and her husband are both practitioners in the autism field and have been for a number of years, so they're well respected. They have 2 sons who are slightly older than my son, so they had some experience there as well as parents. The diet was the most profound thing for him initially, removing gluten and dairy, because that brought his speech back. He had stopped talking for a period of time. And so once we removed the wheat and the dairy, within a matter of weeks, he was able to have more regular bowel movements, because that was something that his primary care doctor didn't really seem alarmed by, was the fact that he was barely having a bowel movement every week and he was holding his stool. Knowing what I know now, that's definitely a red flag that needs to be addressed. But just getting him moving his stool on a regular basis every day was really very profound. And we did a lot with the supplements. We worked with a doctor who was local to us who specialized in autism. We worked with her for a few years, and she was running labs and kind of basing off of his nutritional deficiencies where we needed to sort of spot treat things. And a little bit later, we got into detoxification. That was very helpful for him. I eat plant-based. I'm a vegan. When my children are with me, they eat that way as well. However, I am divorced, so when they're with their dad, they eat other things. I can't fully control everything they're eating, and that's been a big lesson for me. But I feel like that's very critical, is getting, the more dominant, like plant-based foods, the vibrant colors, the fiber, all of that. So lots of fruits and vegetables, and working with the herbal medicine to support different organs and glands in the body. I've done a lot of homeopathy as well, and energy work for him.
And then, okay, so these types of suggestions, when you said you were working with, you said you were working with a nutritionist or someone that was doing the labs? But maybe they weren't a nutritionist.
She's a pediatrician, Dr. Elizabeth Mumper. She's in Lynchburg, Virginia. So she wasn't too far away from us. And she'd done specialized training in autism. So at that time, 2010, it had been a couple years that doctors within this realm were, really looking at how these kids were just, deficient across the board in so many different things. And, we don't see that reflected as much in neurotypical children. And so that was her specialty, was looking at organic acid tests and stool analysis and things like that, to assess maybe what, in addition to the nutritional deficiencies, what overgrowth of certain bacteria and yeasts and parasites might be at play too. That was a big thing we did early on.
True Form Life.
I just want to mention Complete Truth Protein here once again before I let you go. This is a protein supplement we designed ourselves, made with quinoa and hemp seeds, also maca and stevia. We have 2 different types of products. They both have tons of health benefits. You can bake the original bag, you can bake with. It's perfect for gluten-free flour. If you're celiac or gluten intolerant, we have tons of recipes on trueformlife.com, which include raw protein balls. People absolutely love these ones. We have pancakes, cookies, muffins, all healthy, all clean ingredients. Dorothy puts these together for us on a weekly basis. So if you head over to trueformlife.com, head over to the recipe section. We have all kinds of recipes on how you can use Complete Truth Protein. It's also a vegan and raw product. So if you have any intolerances or if you have any issues with digestion, this will definitely help you out. Once again, that's trueformlife.com/Complete Truth Protein.
True Form Life.
So the speech and the dairy, that's pretty amazing. Is that a thing for people with autism specifically, or is that just a specific individual?
Yes, if you have the leaky gut, if you're familiar with that, leaking, they're not digesting these foods correctly, and the gluten and the casein from the dairy, they're getting into the bloodstream and they're affecting the brain. Is it exclusive to autism? It is, I think, in some of the behaviors we see, because my son was almost like he was drugged when he was eating cheese and cow's milk products. He could just nail his head on like a cabinet or something and not even flinch. It was like, and my friends would be amazed by it. Like, why isn't he crying? Why doesn't he seem like he's hurt? It was like he was on morphine, essentially. And we do see that not in everybody with autism. But overall, I'm not a huge fan of wheat and dairy to begin with. So, we do see things specific to autism pertaining to those things. But, overall, I don't think they're great for anybody.
So now that you guys are doing better with your lives, you're in a better situation health-wise, what are some challenges that you deal with on a regular basis just to stay on track?
Challenges. There's a lot. Probably just, I have the stuff managing a business, being a mom, trying to do it all. That's definitely something that I grapple with. Something that's still, it's hard for me. People want to do this exact blueprint like I did it. They come to me and that's been really eye-opening for me, that everybody's different and they can follow it XYZ, to the exact way that I did it, and it may not manifest the same for them.
Tell me about, I know you doing some energy work. Can you tell us how that's helped, or is that the detox food thing that you're talking about?
Oh, well, no, it's been monumental as well. And it's probably one of my greatest passions is teaching the Reiki, the energy work. Reiki is, when you just get online, and people have more awareness about what it is now, but if you get online and you read about it, you're like, what is this? It's hands-on healing, energy healing, that kind of thing. You're just transferring like a relaxing energy onto the person. That's one way of describing it. I see it as just, for me, we all have access to this energy. It's like our life force energy, basically. But when you take a class to learn Reiki, or if you are receiving it as a therapy or a treatment, it's much more amplified. So you're able to pull it in through the body at a greater degree. And as a practitioner, you can consciously direct it, to where you want to work on it and stuff. And it's physically was a detoxifier for me. So it actually did detoxify and help heal my physical body. And it changes your vibration. So you experience things a little bit differently with that energy. It, I guess it's a little higher vibe is one way to put it. You're much lighter in it. And it has just so many different implications in how you can apply it to your life.
All right, Jeanette, before we wrap things up, I do want to ask you about your website and some of your services, but is there anything that we missed throughout the interview that you wanted to share?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely, it's hard because it goes kind of back and forth between me and my son. There's just, I think that's the take home thing is a lot of us, when we have health issues going on or someone we love does, there can be a lot of overlap in those energies. And that's why it's an important story to share, I think. I think that was it. Awesome.
Yeah. I just want to give you the floor for a moment. I think we went through a lot of different ways to help our audience here in case they have autoimmune or if they're dealing with autism or someone with autism in their life. Can you direct us to your website or tell us about yourself, your products or services in case some of our audience wants to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is www.ascalonnaturopathic.com, and that is ASCALONNaturopathic.com. And I've got to say, I would never have been able to do that when I was in the throes of MS. So that's why I like spelling it out. And, but yeah, Ascalon Naturopathic is my website. It's got a list of my services. It talks a little bit about me. I've got a blog on there, which I need to do another post on that. And I do have a couple of things like some signature herbal products that I have up for sale. But I'm also on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm even on Pinterest. So if you're into Pinterest and you want to look at different food recipes and ideas for natural health, I have a lot of boards over there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Exploring Mind and Body and sharing some of your experiences and expertise with us.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to do it.
True Form Life.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Exploring Mind and Body. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for sticking around till the end. I hope you got something out of that interview. I certainly did. I honestly didn't know much about autism before we got a chance to sit down and talk about it. And I mean, the struggles that you would go through yourself, and then on top of that, those that you love so much, like your children, for example. I mean, I couldn't imagine some of the things that Jeanette had to go through, but I'm so happy she came through on the other side and was able to positively find a way, find the light. And it seems like she's able to grow from this experience. And I think that's so important in this life, in this day and age, to be able to learn from things that our experiences, from the challenges in our life, and be able to shine light on other people in different areas because of what you've gone through. So I'm super grateful that Jeanette was able to take some time for us today and share her experiences with us. More details are at exploringmindandbody.com. If you ever miss a show, you can always check out past shows there. We also have a brand new podcast I want to tell you about. It's up on iTunes. It's up on Spotify. It's called Transformations Through Running. It's not just for runners. These stories are about inspiration. They're about motivation. They're about finding a way when there seems like there is no possible way. So check that out. It's called Transformations Through Running. I'm going to tell you more about that as we move forward with the show. Check out trueformlife.com. That's our main website where we do meal planning, recipes, grocery shopping lists, at-home workouts. It's what we do. If you need some help getting going in the right direction, we can definitely help you out. trueformlife.com. Once again, thank you so much for being here. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.